right, welcome everybody to Breaching the Boardroom. I'm your host, David Mauro, and in the studio today is my fantastic co-host, Zack Moscow. Zack, how are you, sir?
Doing great, David. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. No, we're very excited about today's guest. Today we're joined by Kevin McGrew, author, strategist, veteran, and proud Cincinnatian, who just released his brand new book, The New Rules of Marketing Warfare. Kevin has built a reputation for helping leaders and businesses cut through the noise with bold, practical strategies that actually work. His SMAC framework, SMAC, shoot, move, adapt, communicate, has already been called a playbook for underdogs ready to win big. We're diving into leadership, marketing, and what it really takes to stand out in today's crowded world. Kevin, welcome to the studio, my friend.
It's a real pleasure. Finally get to meet you. So yes, I'm excited to be here.
I am very excited. I'm happy to read that before all of your Zoom meetings too. Like I could just come in, do a quick intro of you and then leave.
I love it. I love it. Well, I always feel blessed how everybody comes up with my bio. You know,
I know
that's all different, like, but it's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like, I'm glad we're recording this actually.
Send it to family.
Exactly.
So let's dive in. So, you know, your book is on marketing and leadership, and yes. They often intersect. So, like, how do you see great leaders having a good concept and also driving marketing?
Yeah, well, you know, I'll start out by throwing out a statistic. You know, leaders, business owners, business founders, about 50, according to the SBA, Small Business Administration, and this is conservative from what we're seeing, but about 50% of businesses fail within their first 5 years. And just like in marriage, you know, biggest reason marriages fail in America is for finances, basically financial issues, financial discussions. Yep. And marketing is the number one reason that businesses fail. Lack of having a marketing strategy, a lot of spraying and praying going on. And really for business leaders and leadership, it's about, you know, having a framework that, you know, when the bullets are flying, when there's chaos involved, which is very common in running a business or starting a business, you need something that works all the time. And I learned that in the military, you know, as a young man enlisting in the U.S. Navy. My job was to be in the Combat Information Center, bringing in and disseminating information very quickly so that we can make a strategy or a response to the threats that are there. And that, you know, the thing that most impressed me in that experience was, as a young man, we were in the middle of the Cold War with Russia. We were like hot and heavy in it. We were the tip of the spear, and stuff was happening. Bear bombers coming at us and helos, and, you know, we're surrounded by Russian stuff, and everybody's calm and collected in the midst of chaos.
Because they kind of had a playbook
they had a playbook. There's professionalism. We train. And you knew no matter what, you stuck to the playbook, right?
Right.
And I mean, you adapted, and that's where SMAC comes involved: shoot, move, adapt, communicate. But, you know, as a business owner, I founded 6 businesses myself: service business, franchise, software. I've kind of done it all. I learned the hard way that you just can't wing it. I'm really good at winging things.
Yeah, and I think we all are. And it's, you know, why do you think that is? Like getting down to the heart of it, why do people not think or follow frameworks that often? I mean, I find people look for them, but it's almost like mentorship. They ask for a lot of mentorship, but then when the mentors tell them what to do, because they've literally walked down the same road previously, and they're like, don't step in that hole. And then people are like, yeah, thanks for the mentorship. And then they go step in the hole, and you're like, why'd you ask me? Like, why? Right? Like, why do you think that is?
Well, I think, number one, if you actually are a really thoughtful person, think through stuff, you'll overthink and not do. I think there's a lot of
perfection is the enemy of good, right?
Correct.
Like overthinking it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, that's why entrepreneurs are kind of like, squirrel or, shiny object syndrome, all over the place, because without that, they would, probably say, no, I'm not going to do this.
Right.
Which is what most people do. Right.
It's
too scary. There's too many limiting beliefs, what have you. When I jumped out of an airplane, not in the Navy, but, kind of as a dare, I worked with Navy SEALs and stuff, and they're like, hey, let's go jumping. I'm like, but, there's so much fear leading up to thinking about it. When you're actually in the air, you're like, what was I scared of? Kind of thing. Right. And it's
the
that
initial
prep.
Jump.
It's the initial jump. It's even the before the jump, the stress, before you start a business, all those things that will limit you. So back to your question is, why is it that people have frameworks and they don't really follow them, or they, have to learn the hard way? And, I think everybody in some way has survival skills, and everybody's developed their own framework. And in order to replace your framework, you have to have buy-in. And so even when I went in the military, we went through boot camp. I'm using these military analogies because I think it'll shock people.
I think it's very relevant. I mean, we're in cybersecurity. Cybersecurity frameworks are everything. That's what we do. Every vertical has one, and if not, lawyers will make you have one. And so everybody has one, whether you know it or not. And then just addressing them, and it stems right from the military, especially because cybersecurity is kind of a matter of national security, right? So I mean, that's kind of what it's all about.
And you need a way to say, where did it break when there is a breach, right? You need to say, we followed the framework, where did it break, so we can fix that, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah. And so that's what, I agree with you. I think a lot of people that are taking risks out there, they go from their gut instincts, and it's, it needs to you need a wake up call, I call it, basically is you need something that says, I can't do this myself, kind of thing. And sometimes it's too late. Business goes out of business, COVID hits, you don't have a framework, you don't know how to work through it. But what I decided to do was take years of learning, of the hard way, and package that in a way as, my goal is to save 1 million businesses. Every year there's about 10 million, 12 million businesses created in America. And like I said, half of them, go out of business within 5 years. My goal is that next 10 years, save 1 million businesses that would otherwise go out of business.
Right.
Because that's what we're doing as Eversocial. My agency, we are a Navy SEAL team more than an army of marketers, if you will. Yeah. Our clients are hitting a wall. Usually they're tapping out to what their skill set can take them to. And they're saying, let's bring in the guys that know what they're doing. And so we have a very small elite team that's very execution driven. So we're not wasting bullets or wasting money, right? We know how to get in there, understand who the target is, who to go for, and do that. So I've taken a lot of those learnings and packaged them in a way to teach somebody who has no marketing understanding, no concept of what marketing is versus advertising versus PR versus these things, and put them in very plain text, practical analogies and metaphors, along with hundreds of case studies in the book. So it's kind of like this bakery, when COVID hit, found a way to, they had to shut down their retail.
Yeah, they found a way to adapt online and turn it into e-commerce.
Right? And they made a lot more money. There was Magnolia Bakery, went out of New York. Everybody loved their stuff, but nobody could go to it. So they went online and they were making instantly $10 million a year, from a $2 million a year enterprise. And now they're mostly e-commerce,
Exactly, because once that's built and you realize, well, we don't have to sell locally now. We can go and scale everywhere. Right? Like just because we're all back and we can see each other in person doesn't mean we're going to get rid of that. Like it's filling a void, and it's able to scale. It's able to continue to scale and continue to grow.
and
Yeah,
marketing
absolutely.
strategy impacting business strategy as a whole, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Interesting shift.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if you think of like the Great Depression, IBM was born in the Great Depression.
Yep.
You know, they needed a workforce. They started moving to typing pools, and IBM created typewriters, right? You know, and now we have the IBM we know today. But in adversity, there's opportunity for growth, or opportunities abound. But that's the scariest time, because my stocks are down, my mortgages
Yeah, it's
underwater.
short-sighted. They're
Yes,
looking, and sometimes it's out of necessity. I mean, we
of
lived
course.
through the 2008 meltdown.
That was a big one for us.
That was a big one for us, for our generation. Gen X really got hit over the head with baseball bats when that happened. But so many organizations adapted during that time, and then COVID hit.
COVID hit,
and then you saw them.
Yeah,
well,
I
we've
mean,
seen
we saw
stories like
that.
that. We've seen stories like that. We've seen stories like Toys R Us and how they got, bought out, got leveraged with debt. But also like how they struggled to, same thing with Kodak, how they struggled to adapt given the changes. Kodak's a great story. Yeah,
Netflix, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's tons of stories that I could go through, but the biggest thing I would say is, until you have a mindset that, if as a business owner, business leader, business is war, right? The marketing is 100%. The battlefield. Yep. And most people are going into this battle blindfolded and smoking hopium. They're just hoping what they try is going to work. If I build it, they will come. We've heard that from Field of Dreams, right?
Yes.
And a lot of people go, hey, this is good. People will like it. I like it. It should work. Unfortunately, things are moving way too fast. Marketing changes every day now. AI is disrupting everything. And so you need something that's solid through all the changes. And that's a framework. Yeah.
So tell us about what drove you to put pen to paper.
Yeah. Right? Good question. I think COVID did,
okay.
I originally started this about 20 years ago, believe it or not. It was more of a letter to my kids on how to survive. And it was more another book I started writing. This evolved into that, but it's called the FAW principle, FAW, and it stands for find an effing way. And that came from my dad, who is a Marine. And it was like, no excuses, Kevin. It takes just as much energy to form an excuse than it does to find a solution, right? Find a way. I can't mow the lawn, Dad. My there's no gas for the lawnmower.
Right.
Thaw. Hang up the phone.
Right.
I knew my butt was in trouble if that lawn wasn't mowed some way. Right.
Figure out how you're going to get gas in the mower and get it done.
You just want to see the end result. And that's what we live in today with customers. Yes. I want the end result. Right. I need protection, cybersecurity. I need to not worry about it. They're paying for peace of mind for you. That's what they're paying for. They're not paying for all the security measures.
The weeds. Exactly right.
Right. They don't want the weeds. They want to see a beautiful lawn. That's all they want to see is a beautiful lawn.
That's so funny. That's amazing. I came up with the FIO, FIO, and my daughter, who's now grown adult, was like, I'll ask her something, and she was like, "Well, Dad, just FIO, just figure it out." And I'm like,
figure it out.
Wow,
right?
It's circling back. Can you not just help me with this? Like, you're like
my granddaughter went to kindergarten this week, and she was really scared, and I said, you're going to faw, baby. You're going to faw. And she came back to me. She goes, Papa, I fawed.
That's great.
And even the grandkids are now saying, my kids teach them, teaching their kids. And so it's just a mindset to say, we have this whole thing of, I had a t-shirt that said, have you Googled it yet? Because everybody thought I was Google. My wife's like, how do you fix the printer? Hey,
have you Googled it yet?
Right? Yeah, right. Now it's have you AI, ChatGPT.
It does a better job. So it really does a better job. So I didn't think I'd live in a world where better than even Googling things.
Oh, I know.
Like
I know.
AI is really,
Our
it does a
grandkids
better
are gonna look at
job.
us and say, you used to search for stuff, and
We
used to
were
like click on
around
blue
when we
links.
were your age. We didn't have Google. Like we had to go and figure it out. We had to like,
Exactly.
it's so amazing.
World
So
Book
the- so-
Encyclopedia,
yeah. Oh my
Let's say the public library. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, and I just remember the timeline. Like, well, I don't know this. And there was like a 2-week period until I
Yes.
found the answer. And I'm
Right.
like, oh, wow. And I'm like, that was 2 minutes. Now it's seconds. Now you figure it out. There's so much more
And
immediacy.
it's overwhelming for the brain, to be honest.
Oh, it really is.
There's so many options that I think
Yeah.
people are sticking their head in the sand with AI right now because
Yeah.
they just don't. It's hard for their brain to we're digital immigrants
Right.
in many ways.
Correct. Yeah.
And our kids
And
now,
we've
the
raised
grandkids are
digital
natives.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
They don't know life without a touchscreen. Like, I
Right.
remember seeing my first computer in high school and going, "What is this?" Right?
Yeah.
But you had to stick a card in there to program it, kind of thing. And
Well, I've always admired Steve Jobs not for his parenting, but for his leadership
Right.
and his vision, right? And that's not a slam on him for that, but it's just that wasn't why I admired him. But Apple was on, like, everybody sees Apple today and they're like, oh, it was so obvious, it was so easy for them to be there. I'm like,
yes.
it almost collapsed several times.
He
Like,
came back and resurrected it twice. Yeah.
right. It was by the grace of a lot of effort are they here today. Right?
Absolutely.
Like it was not easy, but there was a willingness to blow things up. There was a willingness to say and to fight that phrase of, well, this is how we're doing it. This is how we've always done it. And it's like, that's the enemy.
Right.
Like, that is always the enemy. And so to really transform, we've got to FAW and we've got to FIO. We've got to figure out how to actually make it work. Right.
Yes.
And I think that from business
too.
Yeah. So let's get into the SMAC framework. Like, walk us through it. Tell us about it. Like SMAC, shoot, move, adapt, communicate. I love frameworks, by the way, because it's a great theoretical view of how to view reality and then how to act on it. I think they're very helpful.
Yeah, and that's what I called it, the new rules of marketing warfare. I really wanted people to know that they need to have a mindset that this is life or death for your business, right?
It is.
And so shoot is shoot with precision. So basically, most businesses, especially small businesses, have limited ammo, right? And, I know as a young entrepreneur, I wanted to do a lot of things, but I had to pick my battles because I had limited resources, right? So the more, there's an old saying of measure twice, cut once, right? And the whole idea of shoot is to know who you're shooting at. A lot of people, you ask them, who's your ideal client persona or, audience, avatar, whatever you want to call it. They'll say anybody with a credit card. Kind of thing. I get that a lot, right? And
but isn't that that's a big risk to organizations? You can't be everything to everyone. And I mean, I remember Simon Sinek talks about this in his TED Talks. He's like, we don't want to sell our products or services to everyone. We want to find people that believe what we believe, because those will be long-term.
Exactly. You got to know the why. Why will people buy from me? Why will they stick with us? Why, all these things. And that's essentially what we're doing is we're finding the why about your product, your service, your software, whatever it is. Right. And so a lot of times when we come in, we're acting kind of like naval intelligence, if you will, and doing a lot of research. We understand that the threats. So we call them threat assessment. That's your competitors. Right.
Which is really good. And I love that it's like got a military tinge to it, because it really is. And people need to take it as seriously as that.
Yeah, and that's why I wrote it with that flavor,
Hmm.
because there's a lot of marketing
I
books
like
out
it.
there, and a lot of them say, find your audience, and do
Right.
these things, but people skip over that because they don't realize that I'll come back to that. It's really a lot of work. I got to think that through, kind of
Right.
thing. And so we put in the book, we tell you these theories, but then we give you the exact tools in paper, but it's also digital. But we break it down with a little worksheet you can work on right there and do it. Just come up with one, have a small victory, right?
Uh,
And so it's a little worksheet on how to come up with your ideal client persona, for example. And we give you a lot of analogies and metaphors, but also case studies. Here's a business that they did. As soon as they did that, here's what happened, right?
right. So that way you can show them the practical effects of executing on the framework. Like
They're
you can
highly
literally
motivated
say,
at that time
right,
to do the work, right?
right,
That's the hardest part. Like that, when you asked me at that question at the beginning, is why do we go to mentors and not follow their instructions? Because we're
right.
not yet motivated
Hmm.
we haven't burned our fingers yet. We haven't
Right,
messed up, yet. But we want we want the easy button, the Staples
right.
easy button, right?
Yep.
So yeah, that's what shoot is. Shoot is knowing who you're shooting at. If you think of it again, like through let's say you're looking for a target through binoculars
Right,
and you're seeing a whole crowd of people, but you're looking for a particular avatar. You go, oh, there they are.
right.
You can now put messages in front of them that's going to be highly effective, right? So
That's
we call
good
them
imagery, actually. When you think of like a radar scan or a scope on a rifle or something like that, like,
right.
or like a heat seeking thing where everything's green and then you see it in red and you're like, that's the target, right?
Well,
There
the
might
whole
be
heat
20
seeking thing.
businesses there, but the ones that really believe what we believe and this service product would resonate with is the one in red right there.
What really kind of triggered this for me as a young man was inspired me to when I started my businesses was our technology compared to the Russians,
Yeah.
right? When their tactics and it was all about warfare. We would go up against each other all the time, but we wouldn't shoot.
Hmm. Hmm.
And their goal was to get their aircraft within 100 miles of us.
Right.
And they knew at that point they could launch their missiles. They had longer
Yep.
range missiles than us, but
Yep.
they weren't accurate. So they'd have to
Right.
shoot a lot of them. And then our strategy was to get within 50 miles of their ships, but we knew we
I
only
have
needed
a
to shoot
theory
one
of
and
why
hit,
that is. Yeah.
right?
Knowing cybersecurity and cybercrime the way I do, I have a theory of why that was the case in Russia, but that's for another podcast.
Yeah.
So I
So
could just,
that is basically they don't have the technology to like zero in like we do with the Tomahawk
right.
missile, right?
Precision. Right.
And so they would just shoot. It's quantity versus quality. We're
Yeah.
quality versus quantity. But
Right.
that's what you have. You have limited resources. Shoot properly. So that's shoot. And then move is move with agility, right?
Hmm.
Your strength as a small business is you're a fast attack submarine compared to an aircraft carrier. And you know this in corporate,
Hmm.
the bigger the company, the more bureaucracy, the more layers, the more breach potential too,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
And so the flexibility of being small is you can move quickly.
Hmm.
David on the battlefield with Goliath was told by King Saul to put on armor. If you're going to fight him, put on my armor. Here's my armor, right?
Right.
He looked at the king and goes, King, I have not tested this in battle.
Right.
Like I'm not going to go toe to toe with a giant with his strengths. I'm going to go with my strengths. I trained in battle, taking care of my father's sheep.
Right.
Against lions, tigers, bears, wolves, you name it. I had one shot. If I missed, they take them out and me out, right? So I had to be good. I had to do my 10,000 hours like Malcolm Gladwell talks about, right?
Right. Exactly.
And so that's our strength. The ability to quickly move when we see opportunities, when we see don't get stuck trying to act like IBM, right? Know what your strengths are and lean into that. Konica Minolta, when you worked there, that's a big company, but all covered, got a lot of contracts because you guys were very agile compared
Right.
to a large competitor, right?
Exactly.
Hey, we're willing to do that. We'll try that. Hey, have we done that? No, we haven't done that, but we'll figure
Right.
it out. We'll
Exactly.
FIO, right? And
Yeah.
so that's gives you a competitive edge. So that's smooth, right? And that comes from the military, from SMC, it's called Shoot, Move, Communicate, Navy SEALs, Delta Force. When you're entering an urban environment, you have no base there, right?
It's not traditional historical infantry where like, here's your line, everything here is you, that's their line, and then you're marching toward them. It's not like that. It's surrounded pockets everywhere. You
got to constantly be on the
decentralized.
Move. You got to be constantly communicating with your team,
absolutely,
with everybody, so that you don't shoot each other, so you can coordinate. Yep. But that's what I mean. It's so beautiful when you watch these movies of elite teams working together. They don't even talk. It's like, you go this
remarkable.
way.
It's remarkable.
And that comes from practice, knowing and doing that SMAC framework, basically. And so I stole that from the military. I added adapt. So adapt is really adapt with knowledge, with information, right? We live in a world, as you know, in cybersecurity, it's all about data points.
It's all about intel. Yep.
Intel. And so I'm not going to send a small team of elite soldiers into a little village in Afghanistan without satellite imagery, knowing how many people they got there. What kind of equipment do they have to take with them? What kind of ammo?
How are they going to get out after? All of that.
All that. You need intel. We have Google Analytics. We got all this stuff, but most business owners don't know how to read that stuff, right?
No, and I think that they get... Here's what I've heard from them is when it comes to marketing, sometimes they hear, well, we have these, these metrics, these marketing metrics, and some of them will show, oh, well, we had this number of people, look at something or view something or click on something or do whatever. And those are metrics. Those are meaningful, but they didn't necessarily result in sales. And so you have to be able to adapt that process until you hit the combination where it's resulting in sales.
It's just like a safe. You got to kind of go to hear the click,
exactly right?
And then you click, go the other way. Yeah, 100%. And that's what I teach. That's what I teach. When they get it, when they get SMAC, when they get the concept of SMAC, they go, click, I get it. And now it becomes easy. I mean, you could do this in recruiting. You could do this in anything. If I'm going to recruit somebody, I got to know their job description, what am I looking for? So when I see them, I go, yes, that's them. Right. I got to move quickly. I got to be ready to move because someone else is going to get them. The good ones go quickly. Right. I need to adapt. If they come back with a counter offer, they have some, I got to be able to adapt for my strategy quickly to be able to capture them. And then I got to be able to communicate effectively. That's C. Is most business owners can't tell their story in 30 seconds or less. I usually say you got to know it in 15 seconds or less. That it's powerful. And people go, I want to know more. I don't want to know everything. I want to know more. Right. And so, we use IDA. We teach IDA in there. I don't know if you've heard of IDA, but
walk us through that.
Another framework.
I remember it before, but I haven't conceptualized it for a while. So walk us through.
It's called awareness, interest, desire, action. It's a funnel, essentially, of a learning funnel, right?
Yep.
I'm going to go reverse it. To have a desire, take action, buy something, set up an appointment, whatever it is, I need to have a desire, right? And if I don't have a desire, it's probably because I'm not interested. And if I'm not interested, it's probably because I'm not aware. A lot of times we're putting out Google ads for somebody, for something, trying to sell it, and they've learned somewhere else. They became aware maybe of the problem somewhere else. They became interested because their friend had it or whatever. They have a desire maybe, but we expect them to take action at the bottom of the funnel when they haven't really been through our funnel.
Yeah, there's a lot. That's a really good point because there's a lot of assumptions made. You see people going, well, oh, you want marketing? Well, we'll just do some ads. These look good. These look good. These sound good to us, right?
They should work.
Put it out there. They should work. And they put it out there. And then they give you metrics like, well, this number of views and this number of people clicked on it. Yeah, but they're not buying it because You didn't educate up front. You didn't build the awareness. You didn't
Right.
build the desire. You didn't you didn't lead them down the path
Right.
to create that desire.
You have to do
right?
it at each stage to build that
Right.
know, like, and trust.
Yeah.
Right. Because I can know you, like I need, or I can know I need cybersecurity.
Right.
And I know you, like, people buy from people.
Right.
You know,
100%.
they don't buy from logos anymore. I mean,
Mhm.
people will once you're an established brand and stuff, you know, nobody gets fired from buying or hiring IBM, you know, concept, right?
That's exactly
But
right.
most businesses aren't IBM, you know, so how do you do
and most
that?
businesses, most smaller businesses, which is big business in the United States, right? Small
Yeah.
business
99%
employs,
of businesses,
employs most of us, right?
Exactly.
And really, they don't need necessarily IBM. Like they
Right.
need to do enough to make it effective for them, right?
They want
nothing
IBM
against,
Lite,
nothing against IBM,
they
but they
don't
might
want-
need IBM Lite or the right. That's exactly right.
Yeah, well, they most people go, it's kind of like Word for Windows. You know, how many people have used all the features and what they say? I think it's 2% of
Like we use
features,
like less than 4% of what Word can do.
what can do, right?
Yeah.
But we pay all this money for it because
Right.
maybe one day we'll use it. You know, that's
Right.
kind of the logic. So you have to reverse engineer that and educate them, going, you don't need that. You need this. And man, this
Right.
guy knows what I need. He knows
Right.
my problems. He's agitated them. He spoke them out loud. He
Yeah,
really
that's really
gets
good.
me, right? And now I'm interested. So tell me more about your solution. Okay,
Yeah.
now I have a desire. I need more information. How much is it? Like, what's the commitment? Da 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 da. Great. I'm ready to take action. Right.
That's fantastic.
So that's what we teach in the book. You know, another framework. There's all these frameworks that lead into traditional frameworks that you don't have to be an expert. You just follow the frameworks and you won't leave. It's kind of like a checklist in the Navy. I remember doing preventative maintenance. I
Right.
didn't know how to fix a boiler, you know, kind of
Right.
thing, but I followed the instructions. I could tell if that valve was tightened enough. I could do this. I could do what was expected of me to make sure it doesn't blow up.
Right.
But, you know, you don't have to be an expert to do it. And so that's, you know, that's kind of the idea behind the book. It's a battle plan to create your own plan to go to market, right? And not die or
Yeah.
business go out of business, right? And, you know,
Well,
for at least
and at the
that
end of the
reason.
day, you are you are working at connecting those with the solutions, right? To
Yes.
those with the needs. And
Correct.
actually and helping them recognize their needs. Because sometimes they know there's a problem, they don't know what the root cause is or what the issue is. And by getting there and having the right groups shoot at them, then they're able to learn that, become aware of it, and then act on it. It's very practical. It's a very practical approach.
Well, you know, you got to start crawl, walk, run. I always say, right. A baby doesn't start running in the Olympics. You know, they start by crawling and then crawling a little faster and then really crawling fast. And then they stand up and they're back to like stumbling, you know, kind of thing. You have to go through those stages in business, and the book takes that into consideration. It's like boot camp. We don't expect anything from you. You just show up. We're going to shave your head. We're going to give you prison-like clothes that don't fit you because you're going to lose weight. You know, you're like, why is this so tight and stuff? It's like by the end, you're like, oh, this fit's perfect, you know, kind of thing, right?
Exactly. Because we're gonna
way
beat
ahead,
the heck out
right?
of you for several weeks.
Exactly.
Until you
Like,
fit in that thing.
you're like wondering what you're just discombobulated, right? You know, and they want it that way because they want you to become a team member, team thinking, not an individual, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's essentially the idea of business. Is we need to crawl, walk, run. We need to have micro moments of awesomeness. You know, I call them quick wins or victories. You know, we don't try to go and win the whole war at once. You try to win a battle at a time, right? To win the whole war. A lot of people are shooting for the whole war, right? You got to have what's the battle in front of me today? Exactly. What I need to win. By experiencing wins, it gives you confidence.
Oh, absolutely. So in terms of, let me ask you about this. In terms of your view on mentorship and leadership, post-COVID, so many organizations have really still embraced because of the productivity involved. When you have a good employee and they can work part of the time remote or all of the time remote, but even part of the time, their productivity has like measurably improved when it's a good employee.
Yes.
You have the other ones that are maybe less disciplined. But I think that's a bigger issue that has nothing to do with working remote. They would be they would be less disciplined in the office, right?
I think it's systems. Again,
Yes.
it's so system. We have too many managers in an office environment, right?
Right.
When you go to a distributed environment or a remote environment, managers are not useless. They're just their hands
You
are
don't
tied.
need as many. You don't need as many because you can manage people in multiple different states all at once and break them up and still have time for your one-on-ones and all of that. Like there's
Exactly. Yeah, like we have a completely distributed team globally. And it's asynchronous communication, constantly communicate on Slack, so we're on top of each other. But how we manage everybody is through a tool called Trackably, right? They log in, it tracks, they log into a project, they start working on their project, they track their effectiveness. So if a client a year from now goes, what did you do on that day a year ago? We go, here's everything our whole team
everything
did.
that we did.
Contributed to that effort. And I can see as the owner, are we being productive? Are we profitable? Right. And I don't need middleman. I do have middle managers more for culture, motivation,
coaching,
coaching,
like things like that. Yeah.
But that's what there should be doing, not micromanaging people. Right.
Yeah. No one has ever accelerated or succeeded in their life with a micromanager above them. Like nobody has.
Never. No.
It doesn't work. It's not about not wanting to listen to authority or anything like that. It's just a cultural thing. We just don't.
It's very reactive. It's like panic mode. You're panicking. Are they working? Right. And lack of trust too. You don't trust me. And some people don't deserve trust, but you don't want to poison the whole water with one person who's poisoned. Right.
Yeah, that's exactly right. If that employee is not executing and working and engaging and leaning in and actively asking questions and all of those things, then you just hired the wrong person.
Exactly.
And it could be the right person, but not at the right time in their life. Like it's just not the right time for them. Right.
Right.
But when you get somebody, it doesn't matter where they are. It doesn't matter where they are. They will be productive no matter what. And then to be able to leverage technology and allow them to manage people from multiple states and to do all that, it's so scalable, right? Because if we had to all be in the office 5 days a week like we were when we were younger starting out, right? It wasn't really scalable. Like you had to then open a different office. You had to physically go and then with another manager. And then it was more of an expensive and restricted kind of ability to scale.
It cost more, but it was scalable because you had redundancy or what have you there.
Yes.
But in today's world, you can't operate at that cost level and be competitive. Right.
Correct.
And so definitely the world is, if grandma can Zoom, this is what I tell people, if grandma knows how to Zoom, the world has changed. Right.
Yes.
And
exactly
COVID made grandma have to learn how to Zoom with their doctor, whatever it was. Right.
That's exactly
and
right.
So I keep on telling people it's pre-COVID, post-COVID, two different worlds. Right.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Remember it was $8 for a nice hamburger at a restaurant. Now it's $13 to $15 for a hamburger. Same hamburger. We've all said it's COVID, kind of thing. But that we took us a while to swallow that pill. A Starbucks costs more or whatever,
Right.
And so that's the world is changing. It's very global now. I have teams in Pakistan, in Argentina, in Moldova, and Eastern Europe. So, I'm finding the best people where they're at. And then we onboard them for culture. We put them through a boot camp. They go for 2 weeks through an orientation before they even start working. Right.
That's great. So we don't just to make sure that they're the right fit culturally.
Yeah, culturally, but Google Workspace, do they, like everybody says they know Google Workspace or Microsoft Office. They don't. Right. So we got to take them through Google Calendar, and you got to take a test and show me that right? Because once you get through and you don't know, it gives me a flip switch to say, sorry, it's not working out. right?
Yeah.
But there's no excuses after that, right? You know,
Right.
I'm gonna give you 2 weeks. I'm gonna walk with you through it. Lots of training, but if you don't make it through there, you got to tap out. You know,
FIO, right?
FIO,
Yeah. That's
FIO.
exactly right.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about as we wrap up here.
Sure.
Like, you know, AI. First, I want to end with kind of what's on your horizon. What do you have coming up? But also before that, just touch on how AI is affecting marketing from your lens, from what you're seeing.
Well, it's definitely very disruptive. It's more.
And I'm talking more generative AI, not necessarily
I'm going to break
agentic, but
AI.
maybe.
We don't even say AI to our customers because they don't really know what AI. It's a moving target.
Right.
So we have you know, AI agent or agentic AI. We have people didn't even know what that was a year ago, right? You know, so it's a moving target from a definition. So we don't use the word AI because in some people's mind, you know, like when I say I love you, do you eros me? Or do you, you know, this me? Like there's lots of different types of love, right? You know, and so that's the problem is number one, AI is relative in people's mind, what they've experienced. And it's still new. It's the Wild Wild West, and we're in the hype stage, I call it. It's all a lot of hype. I can solve you can fire everybody and start your own business with one person. You know, if you watch a TikTok video now, right?
I know. And it's,
you can build a whole website and you don't need anybody and it's ready to go live. You push a button, you know, it's not there yet. And so, I mean, it's definitely making things faster and it's changing every day. But, you know, I'll give you a practical lens as you asked for it is it's increasing productivity. It's taking a human and making them go faster. So I use the analogy of AI is a Ferrari and you're a Honda Accord driver. You need to learn how to drive a Ferrari. Good. You don't want to, crush the clutch and grind the gears and everything. You got to be really good. Or an F1 driver. Look at it that way. You know, it's a very specialized car. You just can't get in there and go, I'm going to go for a joyride, right? You got to learn how to be an F1 driver. And so you need to know how to drive it or it will drive you, right? Now, again, we're an AI immigrants right now. Everybody's an immigrant, not a native. And there is no such thing as a native right now because everything new is coming out and we're all learning together. Not all, not everybody, but from the research I've shown, I think it's about 84% of people have played with it, but that's it. They don't really, they put something, it's like the old punch cards. You put it in, it did something and wow, that was cool, but
a joke for me. Right.
Or write a song for my wife. It's our anniversary, whatever it is. Right. But, we just don't know, our brains don't know what fully is in our hands to how to utilize it. Absolutely. And so before you'd have to prompt, if you weren't prompting it 3 layers deep, like tell me more, that's not good enough. I want more. You weren't getting a good answer, but a lot of people get stuck. That's a great answer because it was so quick. Right. So,
and I think people are getting better at prompting. They're getting better at I at least I'm speaking from my own experience. Like I think a lot of people that I know they've learned to just explain the context first and then get to the specific question.
Yeah, my teaching is the 5 W's. Basically, who, what, where, why, when. Right. Yep. If you can explain, like people remember that. If I go context, job, role, all the things they forget real quick, right? Even if I made an acronym for it, because not in their contextual building in a sense, but who, what, where, why, when. Yep. Who are you? Who are you? What are you supposed to do? Why are you doing it? Right. When do I need this by, or when should it solve this problem? And how are you going to do it? Tell me how you did it, how you thought of that. Because just to get a magic output, you have no idea if that's good or not, kind of thing, right? Give me a cybersecurity plan for this large it'll do it. But if you don't know cybersecurity, you don't know if it's a good plan or not. Right. It might be revolutionary, but you wouldn't know unless you're an engineer. That's exactly right. But it still needs humans. So I use the Iron Man analogy. Where we're at is basically human-enabled AI is where it's most effective. When you
Absolutely.
just trust AI, a part of your brain goes away. You're not using a part of your brain anymore.
Mhm.
You're just putting in data and pulling it out. And I can get a task monkey to do that,
Right.
It's
right?
blind. It's totally
And
blind.
we have, N8N, all these automations will do that for you and get you what you need, right? But the MIT just came out with the report, and they're showing that if high usage of AI, generative AI, is shrinking this part of the brain, this certain part of the brain
Right.
in the critical thinking,
Right.
because we're letting the critical
I saw that report, like the brain scans,
right,
and how how they're not being used. And to me, I just think then they're not necessarily using it right, because they're just kind of prompting it, copying
well,
and pasting it,
it's
as
changing
opposed to
so fast. You're right. It's
Right.
changing so fast. It's kind of like, giving a kid a cigarette. He doesn't know what
Right.
to do. Like if it's lit, it's do what other people do, right?
Right.
And so, yeah, it's the who, what, where, why, when. It's also the where we're at in marketing is very disruptive. It's causing a lot of people to question if I need to do marketing or certain parts of marketing, like SEO. You see, SEO is dead, right?
Right.
It's GEO now, or AI SEO,
Right.
or all these things, but we're not there yet. It's changing. Like,
No.
I keep on telling people, like, we do optimize for AI because AI sends out their own crawlers, for example.
Right. Correct.
Right.
Yep.
And so we put a little thing. It's like, if you're AI at the bottom, where it says about us and things like that, we put AI bots come here, and there's a little text file, and it's all in, markdown language, very schema based. And here's who we are, what we are, how we do it, why we do it, da, 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 da. So we're still trying to train it. But you know what? As soon as this new Shopify API goes out, I don't have to do that for all my products anymore, because
Right.
API is going to talk to all the LLMs. Now it'll be secondary. So all those SEO companies that are shifting for this, they'll be gone.
Right.
it's so you got to like be future proofing the concept, understand the concept where you want to go, and constantly developing to be on the forefront of what's happening. So that's what our agency's doing, is not like doing what's popular now, but more looking at stuff that's not going to change. Right. And
and making sure, again, very similar to cybersecurity, making sure the fundamentals are done, like making sure you have those core things in place.
Well, where do you think AI gets it from? They go back to SEO. If you do all the fundamentals right, that's how they know you're not lying to them. Kind of thing.
That's exactly right.
So yeah, that's the marketing is very. It's in the this AI's in the hype phase. Business owners, business people are hearing a lot of hype, and it scares them, and then they make rash business decisions from lack of true knowledge of what's going on. And so what they need is what we call a scout, a guide, basically, or a Sherpa. If you're going to climb Mount Everest, you don't just go, I'm going to go today, honey, to climb Mount Everest. Right.
No, you have a Sherpa.
You hire a Sherpa who says, we're going to stay at base camp for 3 days because the weather's changing. Right. And we got to carry this food with us because we're not going to make it to the top. We're going to have to stop along the way. And I want to hire somebody who knows that mountain. Right.
Yep.
So, you got to hire a cybersecurity firm because it's changing so fast to know what's real, what's not real. Right. Same with on our end with marketing agencies, is you want people that aren't specialized anymore. Like a SEO agency is great, but they're not looking out for you from all the holistic perspective.
Holistic approach.
Right. And so you need a guide, is what I'm saying. Somebody who really understands AI, where it's at, and how to implement it. Like we're rolling at Crawl, Walk, Run. We're implementing chatbots for everybody, for all our clients, whether they have a team of customer service or don't have nothing. We're actually getting like we have a bookstore, an online bookstore. We didn't have a phone number to call. We put in a phone number. We got AI, trained it, highly trained it. And now you can call and you're talking to an AI, and it says it's AI, but it answers 92% of the questions accurately that people have.
Right.
And it actually suggests,
which is better than what they had before, because before they couldn't even get the questions answered.
Because it was too costly to hire somebody that had all that knowledge about all the books and the categories and everything. Right.
Yeah.
So this also will send, can I get your, I see you call from this number. Can I text you and I'll give you a deal? I'll give you 10% off if you click that link. right?
Right.
So now it's a sales agent, you know,
That's
and as
really
well.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's where we're going with AI. We have a sod farm, you know, it sells sod.
Yeah.
What you buy it once every 10 years, maybe.
Of course.
And their sales are up at 49% because 80% of their people that were coming after hours couldn't get a hold of somebody because they don't know how to buy sod. What kind of sod do I buy? I got shade in my yard, you know, and they wouldn't read the FAQs. Everybody's lazy now, right?
Yeah,
and so
exactly right.
we have a button on that says speak to Luke, you know, our AI. They can literally push the button and talk through the computer to the AI and say, you know, hey, you know, where's your zip code? Where are you located? Let me see. I'll see if we deliver there. Okay, great. We deliver. We have 2 options for you in that area.
Oh yeah.
You know, St. Augustine or Quality Turf. You know, tell me a little bit about your size of your yard and you're near the beach. You do better with St. Augustine. That's $1 a square foot. 1,000 square feet is going to cost you $1,000, you know, kind of thing, delivered all in. Great, I'll take it. Let me send you a link to your phone and you can buy it right now and then pick the date you want it delivered. Like people don't know you could do that, right?
Meet me where I'm at, right?
Yeah. And that's what we're trying to do with AI now. That's a crawl. I mean, we can do so much more, but if we tried to do that, it would blow our clients' minds away.
Right.
So they have to get small wins. That was micro moments of awesomeness. And we know if we get 12 small wins, they'll move to the next level. So it's a math game. It's a math game.
No, I absolutely love it. That's great. Well, Mr. McGrew, thank you so much for your time today. Check out his book, The New Rules of Marketing Warfare. We will have a link in the show notes. There's an image of it right on the screen. It is fantastic. We will have a link in the show notes. We encourage everybody to check it out and to check out Kevin's socials as well.
Yeah, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd love to connect with you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, my friend. Great speaking with you.
Nice meeting you, Zach.
Yeah.
Thanks, David. All right.
Thanks, guys. See ya.